process. So we'll be the first ones in South Texas to undergo this process.
And among the first 4 in the entire state, Cameron picked first today for a brand new random election audit. November Election Day is now 103 days away. Campaigns are heating up, and the Texas Secretary of State is gearing up for the first ever audit. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Galvan. All new at 10, reaction from Cameron County's election administrator.
This is the first time in the state to use this process.
Texas is home to 254 counties, and starting this November, 4 will undergo a first-of-its-kind election audit. State auditors will inspect how votes are processed and if check-ins at polling locations match the number of votes cast. The 4 were picked today.
2 counties will be above 300,000 population, 2 counties will be below.
They put all those counties into a bucket, literally, and pulled out one of the names.
The first large county is Cameron County.
Cameron got tapped first, Harris County second. They, along with Hidalgo County, are among 18 Texas counties with populations of at least 300,000, which means
it's likely that the larger counties would probably be undergoing these audits on a more frequent basis.
Willacy and Starr are among the other 236 counties with smaller populations. Neither was picked for this inaugural round, which leaves Cameron's election administrator learning first.
We really won't know until November of 2022 what they're going to be asking us for. We have some ideas, but we don't know.
And the second large county is Harris County.
And while the Harris County attorney has questioned the selection process, Cameron's election administrator says he's focused on what comes next.
We're hopeful that it will show that people can have the confidence in the election system here in Cameron County, but also it could expose weaknesses that we have, and then we can address those as necessary.
Prisoner swap, el Mega Billón, the Brownsville, Texas water crisis, and rigging an election. It is Monday, August the 1st, 7:04 a.m. This is Good Morning Brownsville, and my name is Frankie Olivo. I do apologize for the start of the segment. I am having some technical difficulties. As you can possibly tell, I am away from the studio, so the video that was played was a little bit echoey. I do apologize. I do apologize for that. But again, technology nowadays. Our Lady True Ballers, they did travel to San Antonio, and they did win 4 out of 5 games that they participated in. And this is the same group, the True Lady Ballers, that a few weeks ago did travel and played second at a tournament in the state of Florida. We always encourage these travel ball teams for these young men and women to get a taste out of the competition that is out there. It is also a great way for them to measure themselves against their peers and other teams. But most importantly, it's important for them to see the world outside of the city of Brownsville. It's a great way for them to make memories with their families and just something to talk about when they're older. So congratulations to the True Lady Ballers. They did win 4 out of 5 games in San Antonio. Great way to represent our area. So congratulations goes out to them. There was a boxing event here in the Rio Grande Valley. The 11th annual Rumble in the Jungle boxing show took place in the city of Mercedes. We had Garcia Figueroa bring back the titles in their respective divisions. Special shouts out also goes to Alfonso Cisneros, who was awarded the outstanding male bout in his division. We've spoken very much about RGV Elite Boxing, the great things that are happening in our local area. It's great to see our youth travel, compete at the highest level, and most importantly, represent the city of Brownsville. So congratulations goes out to Garcia, Figueroa, Cisneros, and RGV Boxing. Now, they say money can buy you happiness, but we could all think of a billion reasons why hitting the mega billion would possibly change our lives. We did get word that in the state of Illinois, there was a $1 billion ticket that was claimed. And the interesting thing was that, how would you want to be perceived? Would you want to be that millionaire that people will ask, "Hey, bro, I got a great idea. You want to invest?" Or family members, such as I asked my mom and my uncle, "Hey, mochate, give me some money." But nonetheless, would $1 billion after taxes, you'd be looking at 270, possibly $300 million take home after it's all said and done. But what money buy you happiness? We talked about how the Cons CEO, the owner of Cons, he did purchase over 50,000 tickets to provide his employees with the understanding that they would all break even. They would all receive a piece of the cut. But does money buy you happiness? We have seen how celebrities, movie stars, individuals that we think have it all in terms of money, in terms of family, they turned up being addicts. They turned up, having tumultuous lives. Why? Because at the end of the day, we have seen from the likes of Elvis Presley and others that they have it all: money, fame, and fortune. But there still seems to be some sort of missing piece to this puzzle we call life. So while we could think of a billion reasons why the mega billions would change our lives, maybe it's for a good thing. Maybe it's better that we stay poor and humble instead of being rich and greedy. And yes, I was the clown going back to work. So if you're watching Good Morning Brownsville, you and I are probably broke, and we still have to continue working for the rest of our lives. There is no solace. There is no solace in that. Now, currently, the United States is supporting the war that is currently taking place between Russia and Ukraine. What one thought was going to be a couple weeks war turned out to be a couple months, and many have projected to be, maybe go into the following year. Well, an interesting thing that has been transpiring has been that the United States recently announced that they were willing to have a prisoner exchange amongst the two countries. Back in February, right before Russia invaded Ukraine, a professional basketball player was detained. Brittany Griner, who did play here in the United States for the WNBA and was currently playing overseas in Russia, she did get caught with a half a gram of weed, THC vial bottle in cartridge in her luggage. Now, this has been a very interesting case. Miss Brittany Gardner has been very publicized as of late. During her tenure in the WNBA, she criticized the United States. She chose not to stand for the national anthem, and many perceive that, as a horrific act. How can you not show some sort of respect to your country? Well, now Brittany Griner is at the mercy of Russia, and friends and family, celebrities, the likes of LeBron James, Steph Curry, have been requesting the United States to do everything possible to make sure that this woman comes back home. Now, it's interesting to note what they're willing to give up. The United States recently did announce that they were going to be offering Victor Bout, who is a convicted, he was convicted in the state of New York for federal crimes for arms trafficking. It is said that he was pushing ammunition and large caliber weapons through Afghanistan, Iran, and the purpose was to target and kill Americans. Now, we have to question this prison swap. Are we willing to give up a very dangerous prisoner for an individual that one might argue and say purposely broke the law. Um, as we all know, the United States has an image to hold. Are we going to tarnish that image? Are we going to give up an individual, a pot smoker, who presents no harm to society when you really think about it, versus an individual who has known to cause terror and death? He was classified as the death merchant from Russia. Are we willing to sacrifice an individual who killed Americans for someone who purposely and knowingly crossed drugs? On the top right corner, that is an American who is also incarcerated in Russia. He was claimed to be a spy. He is an executive for a company here in the States, and the U.S. is requesting for these two individuals, Brittany Griner and Whalen, to be given up in a prison swap with Victor Bout. And once again, whenever we do cross the border, and we have this maybe on a more daily basis because we are a border town, and we all know that when we cross international lines, foreign territory, we have to be very wary of our possessions. There is signs crossing the border that say no ammunition. It is a federal crime. No guns. No currency above $10,000. And Ms. Brittany Griner, she did say, "Hey, I didn't intend to bring weed across the country," but you and I know, we both know that it is not a good thing for us to test the law enforcement agency or the judicial system of a foreign country. We should expect, if Frankie is crossing ammunition, large amounts of currency, drugs into Matamoros, into Mexico, and I get stopped, Frankie Lee will best believe that he is going to have trouble with the judicial system, with the local law enforcement in that area. Same thing with Brittany Griner. Again, are we at a standstill in a point of our lives in here during this war where we're willing to sacrifice a very dangerous individual for a pot smoker, for someone who many have claimed and argued deliberately cross marijuana into the States? Don't do it, Mr. Legal. No, I'll try my best not to. But nonetheless, you and I can agree that something doesn't smell right. And how would we look in the face of the world if we brought back this woman for crossing weed into Russia? Let us not forget that our prison system is full of individuals who have been convicted of possession of marijuana. Now, you and I can agree, based on the evidence presented against Ms. Griner, that she did have half a gram of weed, which is in consumption is not a lot compared to a trafficker, of course, that is sending pounds and tons of marijuana. But nonetheless, how will the United States look in the eyes of the world? They're willing to give up a pot smoker, somebody who purposely, knowingly crossed the border with narcotics for an individual who is known as the merchant of death, someone who purposely and willingly was trying to kill Americans. The prisoner swap, is it worth it? Will we be seen in the eyes of the world as would this movie be seen as second class, something that political pressure forced our president to do so? Are we willing to give up a dangerous individual for somebody who smoked weed? Doesn't make sense, does it? Now, following the news, we always try our best to stay in tune of what is going on throughout the world. Just south of us in the state of Nuevo León, and the city of predominantly of Monterrey has been struggling as of late with water. And one would think that an industrial city such as the likes of Monterrey, Cadereyta, and its surrounding areas, who is rich in business resources, would not have this sort of problem. Uh, uh, we have had the governor, Samuel Garcia, come out in recent months and say, you know what, we are having to limit the amount of water that will be going out to our residents. It is said that individuals aren't able to have access for water for days, some as much as 2, 3, possibly 5 days in a row. And we can just imagine, not being able to shower, not be able to wash our dishes, not be able to do pretty much our everyday essentials. But when it comes to providing for the community, the city of Monterrey is lacking water. And one thing that we can all agree is that this is a necessity. We need water for pretty much everything in our daily lives: washing clothes, washing our face, hygiene. So for an area to be without water could cause, sickness for some, and possibly death to others. And the governor did state recently that he is working with other municipal cities in the area, and he has also even looked into the United States. He did have his representative travel to San Diego to see what could be offered from that city. While we were shocked to learn that the city of Brownsville is going to be sending over 40 pipes to Monterrey, so they could be able to provide their residents with water. The interesting thing is that here in the city of Brownsville, we ourselves are having to deal with, quote unquote, a shortage. Recently, the Brownsville Public Utility Board, they did post that they are at a stage 2 water restriction initiation. And this was brought upon because the Amistad and Falcon water reservoir plants, their levels have reached 25%. Now, I'm not the brightest individual out there, but in order for me to help you, I need to be willing and able to stand on my own 2 feet. What is impressive to note in this case is that Brownsville seemed to go about everything the wrong way. And these limitations that we have given to our residents is that, you can't wash your vehicle. Non-essential watering is prohibited. You're only able to water your grass from a certain time. They are limiting our access to our water. And you would think, okay, well, it is for a good cause, right? We are all going to do this in conjunction with one another to be able to conserve water to last us X amount of time. Well, why are we giving Monterrey water when we ourselves don't have water? And again, we have all questioned, and we have seen as of late how car washes in the city of Brownsville have been popping up like crazy. That seems to be the new hustle. It seems car washes. Has anybody questioned? Are we going to limit the amount of water or provide restrictions to those businesses? And again, it is with a heavy heart that we report this, because at the end of the day, we are in support of business owners here in the city of Brownsville. We do have a city commissioner who does own a local car wash. Are we going to be limiting her access and her ability to make a buck? But nonetheless, you and I can agree that it doesn't seem right for us to be in a water restriction to our residents and remind them, hey, you can't use your water, don't wash your vehicles, even though we have 5, 6 car washes throughout the city. And then now we're going to be giving the city of Monterrey water pipes to have access. And again, I am all support of helping our fellow neighbor. It is in the Bible. We should do everything possible to love one another. but we have to take care of our own first, right? We always use that analogy how the family always takes care of their children, and if they're able to, they'll help other children. But the main purpose is to take care of our household. Is the city of Brownsville doing that? Are we saying, hey, Brownsville residents, y'all can't use the water because we're going to send it to Monterrey? It doesn't seem right. Let's take care of our own first. If we do have extras, if we do have our dams filled, whether that be Falcon or Armistead, then we can provide to other nations, other cities. But it doesn't seem right whenever we're putting a restriction on our own citizens. Could this be because we are going to be helping out Monterrey, and we do need X amount of water, the water levels to be to par? It just doesn't seem right. But again, charity always starts at home. Now, for the longest time, many individuals have questioned local elections, and many have said, hey, there is possible ways to rig an election. Many individuals have stated and have questioned the results here in Cameron and also in Hidalgo County. Hidalgo County has been very interesting as of late. We did see how the elections administrator did recently resign, and an anonymous group on Facebook that does cover corruption in Hidalgo County have made the allegations that they are individuals in the IT industry who have some sort of way of manipulating numbers based on the computer system that the elections office does present. We have seen how Hidalgo County, as of late, has seen a lot of fraud recently, and this trial is currently set to take place in a few weeks. The Edinburgh mayor and his wife were recently arrested in the city of Edinburgh for having an illegal voting scheme. And as we all know, voter fraud is very prevalent here in the Rio Grande Valley. We've also had an individual from Cameron County be convicted of these crimes. You and I know that these elections are rigged. It is even alleged by many here in the city of Brownsville, many insiders that have stated that a favorable candidate already has the advantage of having been up 500 votes. Some even say 5,000 votes or a few thousand votes. How does that work? Is there a way for us to have a checks and balances, so to speak, for us to be able to tally the votes that come in compared to the number of votes we have walking in through those doors and voting? One thing here locally that we have been following has been the voter fraud case for BISD. And this judge did find clear, convincing evidence that there was illegal votes casted in this contested Brownsville ISD race, which did cause the margin of victory to favor one client. And who could forget this case? Ms. Marisa Leal was declared the winner on election day, only to have Ms. Minerva Peña contest and challenge those numbers. We saw how crazy it sounded for Ms. Minerva Peña to somehow find 16 plus votes. There was Ms. Marisa Leal did narrowly win her race on election day. She was sworn in as our new Brownsville ISD board member, only to have that taken away from her because, according to the elections department, they found more votes in favor of Miss Minerva Peña. Now, something doesn't jive. And when this all happened, we said, no way, they're taking it away from Marisa Leal. How could that happen? As you and I could agree, BISD is a monster, a budget of $400 to $500 million as a Fortune 500 company. There is a lot of money in circulation. And you best believe that whenever there's a large amounts of money, there are somebody willing and people and groups willing to do things, to do things that will make sure that they consolidate and control power and control that amount of money that is the budget of BISD. Now, are we able to rig an election? Is what is happening in Hidalgo County that they are manipulating the numbers, the computers, to represent 70-30, 60-40, and the algorithms that they have found have been consistent with certain candidates that have been favored to some certain IT individual. Can we rig elections here in the city of Brownsville? Is there a way to manipulate and fluff up the numbers? Do certain candidates on election day already at an advantage with having 500 votes, 1,000 votes, a couple thousand votes in their favor? Is this a possibility? Do we have some sort of checks and balances where we're able to verify that no corruption, that there is no way that an individual could rig an election? We've heard of individuals dropping $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to certain players to make sure that they secure their victory. And whether you're at the county level, those individuals, they get paid $70,000. At BISD, we have seen how contracts and individuals have infiltrated our board and have allowed these individuals to make a handsome taking for being a board member. Corruption. Is there a way to rig an election? Cameron County was recently selected along the likes of Eastland, Harris, and Guadalupe County to be able to check, these checks and balances. And Austin is very aware of what is going on in South Texas. And we can all agree that for the longest time, this area does seem like another Mexico in terms of in regards to politics. Many individuals consolidate their power and try and hold on to it for the longest time because they know that once this is all over, they won't be able to make a living. All they know is how to be on that tit. But now Cameron County will have the eyes of the Secretary of State and will be able to monitor the process and procedure for Cameron County. Based on the Secretary of State, Cameron County will be having their checks and balances verified. The interesting thing was that, is there a flaw in the system? Is there a gap? Is there a way for individuals to be able to manipulate the process? Again, we have heard of dead people voting. We have heard of cases such as the Edinburgh mayor who changed addresses, forcefully committed fraud during his election. We have heard here locally, and more importantly, in the city of Brownsville, how Minerva Peña was somehow out of a hat, was able to put out that rabbit out of the hat. Something magical happened in the case of Marisa Leal and Minerva Peña. Minerva Peña was able to secure a victory after she contested it. Where were these votes before? Why didn't they tally them up when it was all said and done? Were these votes somehow magically done and calculate? Was this a calculated move to make sure Deshaun Watson suspended for 6 games? For all those that are interested, is there a way to rig an election here in the city of Brownsville? Have these politicos for far too long controlled the polls and the machines? As we all know, if you have an insight in there, and it is interesting to note who our elections administrator is, and this is nothing personal against the individual. I don't know him personally, but I have heard great things of him and his family. But an individual of Mr. Garza does have a close working relationship with the Democratic chair, Mr. Gilberto Hinojosa. And it's always great to have somebody in an important position to be that connection. Once again, the administrator for Hidalgo County did recently resign because of irregularities. Now, I'm not making any allegations for here in Cameron County, but it was interesting to note who the Cameron County Commissioners Court voted to have at the helm of the elections administration. You prefer somebody who and again, I'm not alleging that anybody's committed fraud, but now But now the individuals will be able to have a checks and balance. Now these politicos won't be able to use this upcoming election in November for their benefit. Now they will have all eyes and ears on these local elections, and it is great because we'll be able to see, were these previous elections manipulated with, and if so, what is their process? What is their method? Again, is there a way to rig an election? Have these previous politicos consolidated power by paying certain individuals, whether that be politiqueras, whether that be IT individuals in the know who are able to manipulate numbers? Now, one may say, "Oh, Frankie, uh, you're just hating because you didn't win." No, this is something that has been plaguing our city, our region, our state for so long. And the most sacred thing here in the United States is our vote. Our founding fathers did have that idea that we will have representation through our vote. We got away from the motherland of England. Why? Because of dictatorship. We wanted representation. Now, if individuals are manipulating those numbers, that is against the law and that is fraud, and that is something that we so desperately need to get rid of here in the city of Brownsville and in the state of Texas. Prisoner swap. Is it worth it for the United States to offer a very dangerous individual who has been convicted for arms dealing, who is known as the Merchant of Death because he did aim to kill and cause harm to Americans? How will we be seen in the worldwide stage? Does President Biden doesn't care anymore because his approval rating is low, inflation is through the roof? Would this be seen in the eyes of the world as being a weak move? What about our individuals that are locked up, incarcerated for possession of marijuana? Wouldn't that be a laughing stock to the world, saying, "Hey, you are swapping an arms dealer, a very dangerous individual, for a pot smoker who took half a gram of weed across international lines"? How will that look in the eyes of the world? El Mega Billón, an individual from Illinois, did claim the $1 billion ticket. As we have seen from celebrities, artists who we think have it all, fame, fortune, good looks, they ended up becoming addicts. They have a drinking problem, they have a sex problem, they have a drug problem. Why? Because that thing that we all thought of, money, doesn't bring them happiness. So maybe it's a good thing that we didn't win $1 million. Even though I'm still a clown for being poor and having to go to work, maybe it's a good thing that I didn't win $1 billion, because then I would be a horrible individual that would be greedy. So, as many see this as being a setback for us not winning that billion and having to show up to work today, maybe it's a blessing. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. The water crisis here in the city of Brownsville. We learned that the city of Monterrey will be receiving 40 pipes from the city of Brownsville to help provide water to the residents of Monterrey. That's all good and dandy, but the Brownsville PUB entity, they have been setting restrictions on the local residents. And what gives? Are we sacrificing ourselves, our livelihoods, for the likes of Monterrey? And again, we all are in support of helping one another, but it is best. It is best to take care of our own first, make sure that we're straight and we have no needs and wants before we help out others. Is this a case of hypocrisy where do as I told peasants because we're working on getting that water to Monterrey? Is there really a water crisis here in the city of Brownsville, or are we just picking and choosing what to do? And rigging an election, is it possible to rig an election? Cameron County was selected as one of the 4 election places that will be monitored by the Secretary of State. We have heard of rumblings from Hidalgo County where individuals have manipulated with the IT, the numbers, And the algorithms have shown that many of the candidates have seen a winning percentage of 70-30 across the board. And we're all about numbers, and we're all about results. We have seen how previous elections, they have shown similar algorithms of either 60-40 or 70-30 to the dot. And that, my friends, is the rest of the story. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. It is Monday, August 1st, 7:37 a.m. I am away from the studio. I will be away from the studio a couple of days. Sorry about the bright lights. I'll try to fix that. But I do have a beautiful view. Thank you for your time and your attention. Hope you all have a great Monday. Hope to see you here on Wednesday. God bless.